Hello, Cowboys Nation. Welcome back to the channel, where we bring you all the latest news, updates, and in-depth analysis about America's team. Today, we're talking about some possible roster changes and the next big matchup, which could help Dallas get back on track this season. We know this team is always searching for ways to improve, and with the trade deadline approaching fast, there's plenty of speculation on how we can boost our run game and set ourselves up for a stronger second half. If you're excited to see the Cowboys make some noise, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and share your thoughts in the comments throughout. Now, let's get into it because there's a lot to discuss. Cowboys fans, let's be honest, our offense has struggled this season. We're 6 games in, and we're sitting at a 3-3 record with no wins at home. What's particularly worrying is that we're at the bottom of the league in several rushing categories. Dead last in rushing yards, yards per carry, and rushing touchdowns. And here's a stat that'll shock you. We're the only team in the NFL without a single run of more than 20 yards this season. It's been tough for our offense to find a rhythm, especially on the ground. With the November 5th trade deadline looming, the Cowboys might be eyeing a few players around the league who could bring immediate improvement to our rushing attack. According to USA Today's Jacob Kamenker, one name that stands out as an ideal fit for Dallas is Los Angeles Rams running back Kyren Williams. Kamenker even listed the Cowboys as his top destination for a trade, highlighting Williams' skill set as a 3-down back who could be a difference-maker in Dallas. Now, if you're wondering what Williams brings to the table and how he could impact the Cowboys season, let's break it down. Kyren Williams is having an impressive season so far. He's already notched 8 rushing touchdowns and added a couple more through the air, making him one of the top red zone threats in the league. Last year, he made it to the Pro Bowl with 1,144 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns on the ground, and over 200 receiving yards with 3 touchdown catches. Williams is showing he's capable of being a true workhorse, something the Cowboys haven't really had since Ezekiel Elliott's prime. Kamenker mentioned that Williams' physical, bruising running style would bring back a bit of that Zeke nostalgia. Imagine having a reliable, versatile back who can run hard on every down and also be a threat in the passing game. This is the kind of playmaker who could add that missing spark to our offense. But bringing Williams to Dallas won't be cheap, and Jerry Jones has some tough decisions to make. Let's talk about why this trade could be both risky and potentially game-changing for the Cowboys. Bringing in a player like Williams is a commitment, especially financially. We all saw Jerry pass on Derrick Henry in the offseason, likely due to concerns about the long-term cost. And with Williams, there are similar considerations. According to Kamenker, Williams would probably require a contract extension next season if we bring him on, meaning the Cowboys would need to invest big in him if they hope to keep him around. On top of that, there's the question of whether the Rams even want to part with Williams. Right now, the Rams have key players like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua coming back from injuries, so they might see themselves as potential playoff contenders. Trading away their top running back could jeopardize that, which might make them reluctant to agree to a deal. There's no doubt that Williams would fit perfectly in Dallas, but it might require a high trade price, both in draft picks and cap space. But let's hear from you in the comments. Would you be willing to go all in for Kyren Williams, knowing the risks? Let's keep the conversation going. Switching gears to defense, Cowboys fans know that we've got a big game coming up this Sunday against the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers have one of the league's most dangerous offenses, but they're also dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Wide receiver Jawan Jennings is out with a hip injury, and both George Kittle and Deebo Samuel are limited in practice due to various issues. Christian McCaffrey, who's been an offensive powerhouse for them, is also nursing an injury. Here's where it gets interesting. With a banged-up offense, the 49ers are somewhat vulnerable. Our defense, though far from fully healthy, might be able to capitalize on this. Micah Parsons and Darren Bland won't be available, but we've got rookie Kalen Carson back in full practice, ready to show what he's got. Carson, along with other young players, has been stepping up this season, filling in key roles and gaining valuable experience. Against a team like the 49ers, who are dealing with their own share of injuries, this could be a prime opportunity for the Cowboys to make a statement on defense. If there's one area where the Cowboys need to tighten up, it's in stopping the run. Over the past few games, we've struggled to contain opposing running backs, and if Jordan Mason of the 49ers is cleared to play, he'll likely be a major threat. Mason's a powerful runner who's known for picking up yards after contact, and if our defense isn't careful, he could take control of the game on the ground. On the passing side, the Cowboys have a chance to disrupt 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy, who's shown some inconsistency with 7 interceptions in his last 7 games. If our secondary can stay sharp and force some mistakes, this could give us the edge we need. We've yet to beat the 49ers with Purdy under center, but with the 49ers' limited offensive weapons, this might be our best shot to finally turn things around against them. The stakes are high in this game, and the outcome could shape the Cowboys' season. We've won our last 4 away games, which should give us a confidence boost heading into San Francisco. If we can lock down their run game and force some errors from Purdy, a win here could shift the momentum in our favor as we move toward the second half of the season. So, Cowboys Nation, this week feels like it's setting the stage for something big. Do we make the trade for Kyren Williams to boost our offense and add that much-needed run game, or do we hold steady with our current roster and focus on building from within? And when it comes to the 49ers, do you think our defense can finally get the upper hand against Purdy? To kick things off, let's talk about some tough news. The Cowboys recently placed second-year tight end John Steven, Jr. on injured reserve after he suffered another ACL tear. This injury marks the second season in a row that Stevens faced this setback, and it's a real blow to both the young player and the team. Last season, we saw flashes of his potential as a reliable pass catcher, and he was starting to become a name to watch in our offense. Unfortunately, his absence means we're down a promising talent. With John out, the Cowboys are left to evaluate who can step up to fill the void he leaves. Tight ends are crucial for blocking, catching short yardage passes, and providing reliable options across the middle of the field, positions where we could have really used Stevens' skill set. Let's wish him a smooth recovery, Cowboys Nation. With Stevens' move to IR, Dallas promoted cornerback Amani Oruwariye from the practice squad to fill the open spot on the 53-man roster. Oruwariye is a seasoned player, initially drafted in the 5th round by the Detroit Lions in 2019. Over 4 seasons, he racked up 36 starts, so he's no stranger to high-pressure games. His experience is exactly what Dallas needs, especially with Darren Bland still recovering from a foot injury. In the few games he's played this season, Oruwariye has made a solid impact. He's got 12 tackles, 3 pass defenses, and 1 interception. And fans might remember his impressive 2021 season with the Lions, where he had 57 tackles, 11 pass defenses, and a team-leading 6 interceptions. The guy has a knack for making plays, and his ball-hawking ability could give our secondary the boost it needs, especially as injuries continue to shake things up. What do you think, Cowboys Nation? Does Oruwariye have what it takes to bring back that lockdown defense we saw flashes of earlier this season? Drop your thoughts in the comments. At this point in the season, we're all aware of Dallas's 3-3 record, and the lack of a home win is hitting hard. Coming into the year, expectations were high, especially with talent stacked on both offense and defense. But with some early struggles and a few disappointing losses, the team might be in a position where they need to make changes to get back on track. Mark Luciano from Fansided recently highlighted a particular area for improvement: defensive tackle. He called for Dallas to reconsider its relationship with veteran DT Jordan Phillips, suggesting that maybe it's time to part ways. Phillips, who's in his 10th NFL season, was signed on a 1-year, $1.7 million contract with hopes that his veteran presence could bring stability. But he's been on injured reserve for most of the season, and Luciano argues that his age is showing, especially in pass rush situations. Luciano makes a good point. Phillips isn't bringing anything special that a replacement-level player couldn't offer. And with Motzie Smith and the rest of the D-line struggling to hold their own in recent games, Dallas could benefit from shaking things up a bit. The reality is that the Cowboys might need to find a defensive tackle with fresh legs and solid depth potential, someone who can consistently step up and plug those gaps. With the trade deadline right around the corner, bringing in a new defensive piece could be the key to fixing some of our biggest issues up front. Dallas finds itself at a crossroads. If this team wants to go deep into the playoffs, it's time to take action and start stacking wins. We've all seen it. When this defense is on, they're a nightmare for opponents. But right now, we need that spark. Even with a couple of wins here and there, we're still facing struggles across the board, and waiting any longer could mean digging a hole too deep to climb out of by the end of the season. Phillips could be activated from IR soon, but is that really going to solve our problems? The Cowboys need consistency and depth that goes beyond what's on the surface. A fresh, dynamic defensive tackle could be just what's needed to bolster the front lines and help keep opposing offenses in check. Let us know what you think, Cowboys Nation. Is it time to look for new blood in the trenches? Now, back to Oruwariye. His addition is particularly exciting because he adds a new dimension to our cornerback rotation. While his career stats show steady improvement and versatility, it's his 2021 season that truly highlights his potential to disrupt the passing game. 6 interceptions and 11 pass defenses in one season? That's exactly the kind of ball-hawking Dallas could use right now. Bland's absence has been felt deeply, and we know we can't solely rely on Trayvon Diggs. Oruwari's arrival gives the defense a potential playmaker who can read quarterbacks well and react quickly. If he can replicate the kind of performance he showed in Detroit, he might just be the spark the secondary needs to make life difficult for opposing offenses. With the trade deadline inching closer, the Cowboys are running out of time to solidify their roster. We know Dallas isn't shy about making moves if they see the potential to improve, and this year feels like one of those times where an impactful trade could make all the difference. Whether it's adding depth to the defensive line or bolstering the secondary, now's the time to act if we want to compete with the heavyweights come playoff time. The next few games will be critical, and the Cowboys will need to be firing on all cylinders. Every win pushes them closer to securing a playoff spot, but every loss digs that hole just a bit deeper. Cowboys Nation, we all know what this team is capable of when they're at their best, but it's time to see that potential turn into real, consistent performance on the field. As always, we want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments about the potential trade for Kyren Williams. Do you think he's worth the risk? And how do you feel about the upcoming game against the 49ers? Are you confident in our defense, or do you see room for improvement? Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed this breakdown and subscribe to the channel for more updates, news, and deep dives into everything Cowboys. Thanks for tuning in, and let's keep the energy high as we head into another big week of Cowboys football. See you in the comments, and go Cowboys!